First map we're looking at is a political map. Now, a political map shows man-made boundaries. Now, it might show other things too, but it shows man-made boundaries. And in this map of Minnesota, you can see that the county boundaries are showing. And they just show different colors just so that they look a little bit different. It's a very simple map, but it shows borders drawn on the land by man. Those borders don't actually exist, although you might see something at the Canadian border, for example. You'll see signs once in a while. In some places, you might even see a fence. Next map is a physical map. A physical map, this one happens to have county borders on it, but the physical map itself is the part that you see underneath, where it shows lakes and rivers and hills, and it shows a little bit of elevation. It shows what the ground looks like. The topographic map is a little bit like a physical map, but it shows surface features much more in detail. It could show man-made objects because they're surface features also, where a physical map just doesn't show the man-made things. The topographic map shows man-made and primarily the differences on the land. Where you can look at this map, you see it uses colors to show river drainage areas and rivers. It shows other colors to show elevations and different kinds of things that are on the ground. In this one, you don't see any man-made objects at all. A contour or an elevation map is an interesting map because someone has to go throughout the area and survey it. And they use equipment that tells the difference in elevation. So when they go back to the office with all these data points, they put elevations of similar height on a map and draw a line from point to point to point. And when you get all done drawing those lines, then you have complete circle lines, and every point on that line is the same elevation. So this one has a key at the bottom, and you can see that if it has a 1, that area there that's circled by that contour line is below 900 feet, and then it goes on up from there. So an elevation or a contour map shows height above the ground, and it shows it in similar footage. A climate map, there are many different kinds of climate maps, and this one shows annual temperature from Minnesota from 1961 to 1990. Generally, climate maps show differences in colors, and this shows the colors, and there's a legend with a key out to the right side, and it's in Fahrenheit, so you can see the normal annual temperature for the whole year, in other words, for annual temperature. This also has the county lines drawn on it. Now this one looks similar to the others because it shows colors and it's got a legend and has the county lines, but what it's doing here is it's showing how wet the state is, the normal annual precipitation. So if you look at the legend, the closer to blue and purple it is, the more precipitation in the form of rain or snow that falls during the year. You can see easily that the dry side of the state's the western side or the left side. And the further east or to the right and down towards the bottom right-hand corner, those are the wetter parts of Minnesota. Now we get into thematic maps. Thematic maps show a specific topic, and you can compare from one time to another with thematic maps. Now here's a map of Minnesota. It does have the county lines, but the colors show how densely populated it is. Remember, population density is the number of people living in someplace in each square mile. So you can see that red is very intense, and if you know where those red dots are, mostly in the bottom right central, that's the metropolitan area of Minneapolis and St. Paul. If you go way up the top of the map, you see very few red dots. That means it's mostly woods up there, not too many people, just very isolated and not enough to put dots. Where you do see some red dots, those are small towns. This is a navigation map, and this one happens to be an air navigation map of the Duluth area. So navigation maps use circles and compass headings to show ships and airplanes where to go. In this case, it's airplanes, and they can, if you're flying out of Duluth, for example, if you look at one of the circles, you'll see that it has the degrees of a compass on there, and you can fly a line going out from the Duluth airport. If you're going to Fargo, you'd be flying out maybe at the 295-degree radial from Duluth. I'm just guessing at that without looking at it. But that's what a navigation map does. It shows you the land underneath, but it also shows you a lot of helps in terms of navigation, compasses, degrees to get you from one place to another. And this is an economic or resource map. You can see that there are three different kinds of economics being displayed here. The first is where's the manufacturing in the state? And it shows it by region. These are not counties, although they look a little bit like the counties. But in the upper here in the Northwest, that's manufacturing. And if you know something about that, I think they make a lot of snow sleds up there, the ones that go fast in the woods and on lakes. And then other kinds of manufacturing will be down here throughout the bottom of the state. Professional and business services are pretty much throughout the state except way up there in the Northwest. Agriculture is limited pretty much to the western and southern part of the state. Then there's the map you're most familiar with, and that's a road map. Road maps show you where the roads are, what the name of the road is, where they go. So all the red lines on here are major roads in Minnesota. They're not the only roads in Minnesota. The big red lines are the major roads. And then you can see smaller red lines, which are county roads and maybe some other roads that are next to that. So if you're driving from Minneapolis up to Fargo or something, you can pick out a route. There are many ways to get there. Probably the easiest way is to go 94 and take that all the way up there. But you could go scenic routes. You could follow this road, 169, go all the way up here to 2 that comes out of Duluth over here on the right, and follow that up and catch 94 again and go up to Fargo-Moorhead area. Road maps are very helpful. So these are just some of the types of maps. They're not inclusive at all. Many other kinds, and there are more specifics within each kind, but it gives you an idea that there are many different maps, and each map has a purpose, and the cartographer or map maker has something in mind when they make that map.